It is 6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this, goodness, Bill, Wednesday?
Yes,
November 12th?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
They all blend together at this point.
Yeah.
Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Did you guys all go outside and take pictures?
Yeah, well,
Goodness, my entire social media feed is filled
okay,
with these.
this is what's really weird. So at our house, so it starts off, we see some of the people talking about it, and we're getting pictures from my in-laws and friends. And at first, we go out the front door, then we go out the back door, and we don't see the bright, pretty colors everybody else is. And we're like, what the hell's going on here? This is not right. So we go and hit the magic Google box, and we're like, hey, okay, I guess we're supposed to be seeing this. And then we went out the back door, and we could kind of see a little bit of the colors. And we're like, well, maybe we should just pile into the car. And there's a place that is right near Hamden and Piccadilly that I forgot what the little place where the kids go off to the north side, where they go to field trips and stuff like that. But it's an open space. It's an area in which there isn't a lot of houses around, and there isn't a lot of light pollution. And it's also on a rise, so it's up above most everything else around there. And so we went and joined the dozens and dozens of other looky-loos that were up there on the rise and spent some time, and it was absolutely incredible. That was really amazing. Although I've got a family member that lives, a couple of them that live in Dillon, and the pictures they were showing are mind-bending. Those are incredible, because one of them, one of the cousins, went out into the forest during it, and yeah, the pictures are otherworldly. Looks like something out of Stranger Things. It's really cool.
It's kind of funny in our family because my wife's really excited. This is something I've wanted to see my entire life. And she had talked about traveling at one point in our life up to the Arctic Circle or whatever it is to see these. And I'm traveling. I'm going to be speaking today in Rifle with the Garfield County Republicans. By the way, Rifle, classic. Love this town, right? So I'm staying at the La Quinta Inn here in Rifle.
Hey.
And there's a whole bunch of railroad like workers, like Santa Fe line like workers, and all their pickup trucks are in the parking lot. And these guys are all outside, like drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, laughing. They're all covered in dirt. And it just reminds me that, like, Lauren Boebert is such a unique, like, depiction of Rifle, Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she's so, like, just tough, like, just, Western Rifle girl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I saw these guys. I was like, this is where Lauren came from.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great.
But
did the family get out and see anything?
I'm traveling. I'm getting my whole text message threads. My entire family from Colorado is taking pictures, and I'm just like, nah, I'm going to bed. I didn't even look outside. I don't care. No. This is some lights in the sky.
Yeah,
really? You guys are all going to go outside to see some lights in the sky? Okay, I've got other things to do.
Oh, that's funny.
That's call me funny. Scrooge. I might be Scrooge towards this, but I don't know.
That's
Blake
funny.
the same way as Blake, because I was Blake outside.
Let's check in.
Pictures.
Let's check in with Blake and see. Blake, were you outside looking at the northern lights?
I was getting so many texts from friends in Lone Tree, and I'm like, man, please, I gotta sleep, and I still didn't get to sleep. And they're coming up here. There's a bunch of people coming up here, Northeast Fort Collins to I guess that's a great place. So they're going to check it out tonight, I guess. But no, I didn't see him. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I'm kind of like you. I think I'd rather watch a guy smoke and drink.
I don't know.
Railroad workers of Rifle, Colorado.
It was really cool. Something that was very unique for this was one of those unique things that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting out there and seeing it. That was really cool. Yeah.
I'm sure I would change my mind, and I may when I see it, if I see it tonight.
Yeah, so. The thing for me is it's weird. Okay, there's this thing about, the history, and then you have your own arc of history as you get older. And when you're younger, you always figure that you're going to get a second chance. But there are things like this that you got to realize that,
Sure.
when you're getting up in years and you're looking in that mirror in the morning and go, damn, where'd all that gray hair come from? And second, where'd all the other hair go? And why am I getting hair falling out of my nose this way? I mean, what is going on here? How is this helping me? Yeah, when you're looking at that, you're like, you understand there are only so many more rotations around the sun, and how many more times will something like this happen? So, yeah, that for me is an extra motivation of the idea that, this instance, who knows how many more times you'll get this type of an experience. So I'm going to take advantage of it.
What color was it, by the way?
Oh, it started out, it was pinks and reds, which is really interesting. Yeah,
I
it started
like
out
the
with
warm
some
colors.
Yeah,
That's
it started out with some blues and greens at the bottom, but then as it got darker, it tended to brighten up into more reds, which is really interesting because I don't remember if you two remember it, but part of what I talked about when we flew to Ireland recently is we were up above the clouds, and because of the arc over the top of the world where we were going, we got to see the aurora borealis out the windows. But those were blues and greens and yellows. There weren't this really bright reds and pinks. There were shades of those, but that wasn't really where it was. And so this was an entirely different experience. Oh, yeah, the reds and pinks, and as it got darker, that's when the reds really grew. All of a sudden, it became just really, really red and dark red, pink. Like when in Stranger Things, when they're like going to the upside down and you see that big red hue in the sky, that's what you saw. That's what it was. It was really cool. It was beyond badass. It was really cool. Yeah.
Apparently, it's a severe geomagnetic storm.
Yeah. Science.
Storm.
Yes, it is. Science is beautiful sometimes. It's great.
Northern Lights are expected to last into early Wednesday, and then they're gone.
Yeah. So if you get a chance, run outside and see them tomorrow. It's tonight. Because that'd be neat. Yeah.
That would be early this morning.
Oh, well, crap.
I think they're
that's right. They're probably gone. That's right. I forget what day it is at times. The days run together. You have no idea.
So if you missed them, just
well.
log into social media because your entire feed and probably your text messages are filled with these. Good night. Don't send them to us. I don't care. If you want to bother me, you can text them. If not, I don't care.
I like seeing them. I'm fine. Yeah.
I've probably seen 300 pictures of people's houses with the Northern Lights behind them.
And this is why it's good that Jeff was not home last night, because this would have been the argument in the Hunt household. But I want to see the lights. I don't want to see the lights. Come on, let's go see the lights. I don't want to see the lights.
He lives in the perfect place.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Believe me, I have pictures of horses. I have pictures of our barn. I have pictures of our windmill. I have pictures of every aspect of my entire
I love sunsets, though. We've had some great sunsets the past 2 or 3 days.
Oh, yeah, we have.
I love sunsets.
They've been really pink. Man. Yeah, they've been really cool.
Is it better than sunsets? Is it more romantic than sunsets?
It's different. It's a different experience because, again, the sunset you can always anticipate is tomorrow. So this is more of that once, in a while type of a thing. So it makes it different. Also, because of where the sunset is, the colors row, in my mind, with the sunset, it goes from really, you have really, really, lots of colors, and then it kind of tampers down and becomes more muted as the sun. This was the exact opposite. As it got darker, it got brighter. And so that was the thing that was very unique.
Interesting.
Well, there you go. I'm glad people were happy.
Oh, I had fun. It was beautiful.
I've got other things to do with my life at this point.
Says the guy at the La Quinta Inn.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, great. Oh, thank you, Steve Reams. He's texting in on my personal cell. Thank you, Sheriff. It's not like I don't have 300 of these already.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All right. We've got a lot to talk about today. Jeffco declaring a state of emergency over SNAP. We'll talk about that. 7 o'clock. Jeff Crank's going to join us, Congressman. Congressional District 5 is the government reopening today. He'll give us the latest on that. Paul Batura with Focus on the Family. Very interesting piece about both the rise in people returning to church and the rise of people voting for socialists in this country. We're having kind of both sides kind of fired up and rising up. Paul Batura, Focus on the Family, will be joining us. And then Brittany Pedersen is upset that cheap labor won't be coming into a ski resort near you. What happened to Colorado ski resorts? We used to, remember when locals used to work there and you'd have 20-year-olds, all living together, cheap housing, skiing, getting free ski passes and working the resorts. What's happened to that? And why are they so dependent these days on foreign labor? We'll get into that in the 9 o'clock hour. So lots to talk about today. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Hey, good morning. It is Wednesday, 38 and mostly clear in Denver, expecting a high of 65 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story getting closer to the end of the Schumer shutdown, but of course, Colorado's Michael Bennet creating another disastrous scenario.
It's a tragedy, and it's a completely predictable tragedy. But Donald Trump and the Senate Republicans, and I think the House Republicans as well, have been uniformly and resolutely opposed to doing anything to lift a finger to try to make people's lives better.
Yeah, the Affordable Care Act was not affordable. And this was all about lining the pockets of the health care insurance providers as they help Democrats in elections. Hey, Stephen Miller, trying to change my mind on the filibuster.
Well, yes, he is, of course, because when Democrats take power, if and when that happens, when they control at some point in the future, whenever that is, the House, the Senate, and the White House, what's the first thing they're going to do, Larry? They've advertised it, they've promoted it, they've talked about it, and they've booted two people, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, out of the party for disagreeing with them on it, and that is ending the filibuster. They will end the filibuster. They will pass communist health care. They will abolish private health insurance. They will kick 140 million Americans off of their employer-sponsored health care plans. They will give citizenship and amnesty to every single illegal alien in the country, and millions more to come.
Okay, when you put it like that, maybe I do not want it. They're starting to get me. All right, calling balls and strikes. I didn't like what DJT said here.
Republicans have to talk about it, Laura.
And does that mean the H1B Visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we
a
have
country
plenty of talented people
no, you
here.
Don't. No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing and very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems.
Okay, man. He's got to talk to someone about this. I totally disagree.
Insiders fighting for insiders. America first.
Remember, it's America first, no matter what. Just disagree.
I agree with you on this one, Blake. That was an interesting interview.
It was. I'm like, come on.
Like that's the progressive kind of mindset.
Yes.
Of the kind of globalist, we'll bring them all in, but the consequence is you give fewer opportunities to Americans. And that just snowballed, right? Like, you can start with, we need the best nuclear physician, oh my gosh, it's 6 a.m.
Physician. Nuclear scientist.
Physicians, nuclear.
Nuclear scientist.
Scientist.
Yeah, that's right. The very best in the world. Hey, we want them to come.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need the best nuclear scientists.
Yes.
From Europe to come here. And you're like, all right, but then you're at the battery factory in Georgia, and it just kind of continues to snowball until Americans have fewer and fewer opportunities. I thought Laura Ingraham was exactly right to challenge him on that.
Same here. Absolutely. Yeah. I thought she did a great job. And I think after he goes back and looks at it and listens to it, maybe, possibly. I think he worded it wrong. I think he was trying to say what you just said right there, that, hey, if we have the best top 2, 3, 10 scientists in the world who have to come here, who need to come here, who want to come here, okay. But of course Americans can learn how to do all these things.
To build a battery?
Right.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
like
exactly.
he's the worst example there.
No, I agree. That was that's exactly right.
It's like the exact opposite of America first.
I mean, I could even build a battery.
That would be the result too.
Yes.
I have a picture right now of Blake sitting there, and his hair is all the explosion's gone up,
yes.
covered in soot.
Yeah, that's what would happen. Absolutely. The Jeffco Sheriff's Office investigating a possible road rage shooting near Conifer. It happened near Highway 285 South and at Sourdough Drive just before 8:30 last night. A portion of the highway was closed for several hours so investigators could preserve evidence from the crime scene. One person was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound. No other information has been released. And bright colors illuminating the dark skies of Colorado, as Billy was talking about with Jeff earlier. They may be seen for a few days this week. The Aurora Borealis, or Northern Lights, were witnessed by Coloradans across the state last night, and there's a chance they could be seen again tonight and possibly Thursday night. You can check out forecasts for the Northern Lights on the NOAA, NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center website. The Ducks in town in Lodo last night against the Avalanche.
In the center zone, Nichushkin kicks it out to Nelson. Brock Nelson will circle, get away from that loose stick. A broken stick from Malinsky. Nichushkin goes stall, can't get to that one. It's Gabriel Landeskog.
Oh, that was good to see. Gabe Landeskog, his first regular season goal since March of 2022 after multiple knee surgeries. Good guys win it 4-1 the final. And the Nuggets in California, Sacramento last night against the Kings.
They're giving Murray a rest here. Jokic is back in. Cam Johnson turns the corner under to Yoke, and Yoke puts it in.
Okay, so I guess we're calling him Yoke now, evidently. 122-108 final, and Jokic 35, 15, and 7. Murray had 23 points, 8 assists, 3 boards at the Clippers tonight. The Nuggets are 8-2. 39 in Lone Tree, 37 in North Glen, 38 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Unseasonably warm November weather will take us through Friday. Then we're going to see some changing weather this weekend, especially late in the weekend and into early next week. But until then, mild Pacific air will dominate. We're going to be 60s to near or better than 70 today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Still very mild, well into the 60s Friday. Through Friday, dry, a mix of high clouds and sun. Nights not bad, 30s to lower 40s. Increasingly cloudy and trending cooler over the weekend, increasing chances for showers. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Jacqueline texting in, my son built a potato when he was in the 3rd grade and won the science fair.
Oh, yeah, the potato battery. Yeah. Yep.
2983 saying we need 1 billion Americans in order to completely grow. We need more immigration. I don't think that worked. I think it artificially lowered wages for Americans. I think it took away home options. I think it drained our state and local resources, like you saw in Denver, like you saw in Colorado. I don't know, Bill. Are you with Trump on this? Bring in the H1Bs.
I think that within reason, as far as where they're targeted, yeah. I mean, remember, Trump's friend Elon Musk says that Americans are too stupid to do a lot of the stuff that he needs, so he has to have these H1B visas because we're dummies, and we can't do the stuff that he needs us to.
We do have government-run schools.
But again, he says we're too stupid to do some of the stuff that he needs. So that's all I'm saying is that even there, he says that we can't compete with what we need to be doing. Yeah, I do think there's a role for it, and also the idea, though,
do you think, though, it was abused? Do you think there are too many people? Do you think corporations kind of abuse the H-1B
here's the thing.
process?
Do we think that corporations will try to abuse the rules? Yes. 150 times yes. Yes, of course they are. That's why you need someone that is supposed to enforce the rules. I mean, corporations and businesses didn't stop dumping their waste into the waterways around towns and cities just out of the goodness of their heart. I mean, there was a reason that rivers.
Robert F. Kennedy.
But again, there are reasons across America that certain rivers were not available to swim in. You weren't supposed to swim in the River New York. So again, that's part of the reason that they don't necessarily operate out of the goodness of their heart. So yes, it is. There do need to be guidelines. There do need to be some restrictions, and yes, they abused them. Of course, they did. The thing that I look at is that immigration also increases productivity. And that's part of it as well, as far as increasing the labor force. And I find it strange, though, at times when, we want to have competition for everything, but then we don't want to bring in the immigrants to be the competition. I find that a little bit strange. And I think it is needed. I think that it has been abused, and I think it's been misused. But I think there's a role for it. And I think it's interesting that everybody's focusing on the higher-end visas when a lot of the point for me is people on the lower end, is that I'm looking for visas for individuals who are going to be picking crops. I loved the idea of the migrant farm visa we had decades ago because it was a temporary work permit, and the workers would come into America, pick the crops, and go across, sometimes all the way across the country, but mostly between regions as different crops would mature, pick them, then go back home.
That wasn't the problem. The problem was they didn't go home.
Well,
they stayed.
But why didn't they, though?
Started to take more and more resources.
But
why? Because we started giving them free stuff.
No, not at all. We started no, not at all. They didn't want to stay. We started pulling the migrant visas and their ability to go back home and then come back across. Yes, the system changed.
Them. We started giving them lots of free stuff.
No, the system changed. Why
are we going to head back to Mexico?
The system changed, and here's the reason. Why do we want to get back to Mexico? Where are your friends and family?
Well, they all moved with them.
No, they didn't. No, Jeff,
we had 10 million in the last 4 years.
That's not exactly what happened. That's not what happened. The reason that they were here and they stayed is because we told them to stop going home. And that was the reason they wanted to. Years and years ago, they would come here, pick the crops, and then go home. And it was one of the best shares of a labor force that I think you can probably find, because what they would do in Mexico is they would earn enough money here to go home and basically have a part-time job or be on vacation for months. It was a good deal that you would come here to America and you would work your rear end off at awful conditions sometimes. Then you would have this extended vacation and you were able to help your family and sometimes community
Bill,
with it. It's back and forth. That's what they need to do. It's not revisionism. That's what happened.
They all stayed here. This is why our state has a huge, massive budget problem, right? Is because all of a sudden resources, like go look at Denver General. It could barely keep its doors open because people stayed. That had an economic impact on our state. Well, feel free to join the conversation. Would love to hear from you. 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115. Billy and I will continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Lots of text messages on this one. Jeff is the Cesar Chavez of talk radio.
That's funny.
Bill, you're just saying that the farm workers are slaves and farms are slave masters?
When did I say that? I'd be curious if we can go back to the tape and when I said they were slaves. When did I say that? I talked about
cheap labor.
I talked about an immigrant visa program. That's what I talked about, not a slavery program. I'm curious how the texter interpreted that when I talked about the immigrant program that allowed farm workers to come into the U.S. and then go back home afterwards. And it was exploitative. It had problems. It was not perfect, but it seemed to accomplish what everyone complains about now, that these immigrants come here and don't leave. When under that program, they were somewhat incentivized to leave, and they had the ability to. So you go back and forth. It was imperfect. It would need changes in my mind if we'd go back to something like that. But I never said anything about slaves. I don't know. Maybe you can help me figure out, Texter, what you meant by that. I don't understand, because I never talked about people being slaves or being kept in slave conditions or being.
Well, don't you admit that they're paid less than Americans?
Well, okay. So are we talking about all immigrant workers across the board are paid less?
We're talking about those that are coming across to do the manual farm labor that you were just talking about. Are they paid the same amount as Americans?
I'm not sure what the pay disparity is per se, but here's the thing. What you'd also have to roll into that before the idea of, oh my gosh, look at all these immigrants coming in here too, because I guess I'm saying, steal the jobs. Plus, are you arguing, one, that we need to have higher wages? The second one would be, what happened when all the migrants went home during this last seasonal cycle? Did the Americans pour in to get these wonderful jobs and do the work? No, they didn't. And I would submit to you that if those farmers could find an American that would do the work at an acceptable cost, they would pay it. But they can't. That's kind of the problem here inside, is there seems to be this false belief that if all the immigrants disappeared, Americans would flood to the jobs. I don't think we have the numbers, nor has history proven that to be true. So I just think it's a false example.
Well, I think the argument is quite astute, actually, that what we're arguing for is that cheap labor matters to America. We want it. Americans won't do it. Therefore, we need them. And I think there's real questions as to whether or not that's fair treatment of people.
In what way? What is it? What fair treatment?
Right?
I don't understand what the fair treatment is. What would be the unfair
treatment? We rely on sub wages with people in this country.
What sub wages? What do you mean? I mean,
what do you mean? What do I mean? We were talking about this.
Well,
here's farm workers that come to America, and we don't pay them the same amount that we do other people.
Is that a problem?
I don't think that's right.
Why not? I mean, this is the reason I'm so concerned and confused on this section, is because when we ever get into the idea of a minimum wage or anything, that you hate that idea. You
I don't
hate
think
the
the government
idea.
should mandate that.
But now you're like, oh my God, look at all these people being paid less. But hang on, Jeff. That is the function of the system you advocate for.
No, it's
that
not.
we don't need any floor. No, you argue we need no floor as far as wages. There should be no floor, and the market will determine. That's where the market is.
No, they're in fact two different things. One is the government mandating what an employer pays its employees, right? I think that's wrong. But two, I think if you flood the nation with cheap workers and you don't pay them well, that's going to have economic impacts. One, it's going to steal jobs and artificially lower the wages for the Americans that are already here. That's one example. But two, it is almost a reliance on slave labor. I mean, this is I feel like this is like the South making the arguments. Like, how are we going to work? How are we going to have our economies? Our entire economies are based upon people and we take good care of the slaves, and they have good, they have a consistent job, that type of thing. And you're like, no, this is the improper treatment of a human being.
Well, here's the thing. The problem that you have in your example is that we have a real world, contemporaneous example of what happens when the farm labor disappears. And Americans do not fill the jobs. Didn't happen. And this is something
how is this any different than the argument made in the South?
Hang on a sec. Wait, hang on a sec.
You think white Southerners are going to go out there and pick cotton?
Hang on. The issue that I'm saying, what I'm saying is, you're saying that this is horrible to have all these immigrant workers in here because it's taking jobs from Americans.
Correct.
And what I'm telling you, contemporaneously, we've seen in the previous 12 months, the Americans didn't fill those jobs. So I disagree with the idea that the immigrants are taking jobs from Americans. We had the opportunity to get those jobs, and we didn't ask for them. So that's the example that I disagree with. I disagree with this idea that those jobs are ones the American worker is clamoring for and would fill if the immigrants weren't there, because they're not there, and we didn't do it. And that's within the last 12 months. So that's the thing that I think is wrong in the example that you're putting forward.
Bill, you think America has to have cheap illegal immigrant labor?
You added a lot of modifiers in there. I've never advocated for illegal. That's something that you're saying. You're saying that I'm advocating for. I've never advocated for illegal. I've talked about visa programs. I talked about migrant visa programs. I've never sat here and advocated for illegal labor. Never said that. In fact, I'm the one that wants protections on the labor. I'm the one that wants a floor on what they can be paid. I'm the one in this conversation that talks about protecting them when they get here. You're the one that talks about them being a drain and more parasitic on society. I'm not the one that's calling. I don't want the illegals here. I think that's a whole different conversation. I'm talking about immigrants, and they're needed. Yes.
All right. Well, join the conversation. Give us a call at 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. Andrew, how do Jeff and Blake feel about DJT saying we don't have qualified workers in America, so we need 600,000 Chinese? Yeah, I think this would fall right in line with the audio clip we played at the top of the hour where he's having the discussion with Laura Ingraham, where we go, no, these H1B visas are bringing in 600,000 Chinese. It's this bizarre pivot from America first.
Yeah, I got a question about that. The idea.
Go ahead.
I got a question about the America First thing. The idea that we need to bring in, and this is more Chinese students than we've ever had before.
Right.
And that's a part is when it's America First, we're going to bring in more of the people that are competing for the labor. That's a one that I got a real question with. And some of the problem that I've got with it is it seems like we are focusing on bringing in the people with the visas that are getting the higher paid jobs inside the scale. And what I mean by that, when Elon Musk talks about Tesla needing these H1B visas because he can't find competent people in America, he's talking more times than not about salaries that are bumping up into six figures or above. We're not talking about the salaries that are keeping and artificially depressing wages on the other end of the scale. So we not only are we talking about the idea of competition for jobs, we're talking about the idea of competition for good jobs. And I think that's important in this conversation because it's different if we're talking about not finding people that can go out and pick strawberries or tomatoes in fields versus someone that can be a computer coder or work on the higher end on IT security. Those are different. And I would argue with Elon that we do have competent people on that end of the spectrum in the U.S. that can do that job.
Yeah,
but I think it's been proven we got a lot of people that don't want to go out into the fields and pick the crops.
Well, I don't get making the distinction either. Either it's best to have Americans filling those jobs, educating Americans up to the level to be able to do those jobs at the higher end, or giving Americans the opportunity to get the jobs at the lower end. In either case, there are Americans getting jobs. That's what matters to me. And we've had this bizarre thinking, I've noticed, where it's like, if we don't allow like the very best and brightest to come to our country, then other countries will get them. And I'm like, they come to our country, get educated, and go back to those other countries anyways. So, this like, going back to the nuclear, physics guys, if we don't get the very best, well, then they might go to other countries. Well, we tend to educate them, and then they go back to those countries anyways. And so those seats, for instance, at Harvard or Yale or Princeton, I don't want them going to Chinese or Pakistanis or even Europeans. I think those should go to Americans. And so both ends, low wage labor, upper echelons, should all be primarily, not exclusively, but primarily given to Americans so that we can solve some of the economic issues we're facing in this nation. That's why. So, I don't know. 8422. Bill, I can't believe that you can't see that the reason those jobs were not filled is because they're not paying the proper wages. These people are being taken advantage of, and just because I don't advocate for a $50 minimum wage doesn't mean I can't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the point, but the idea, so we then, and there's a downstream effect of that. I'm not arguing against the idea of higher wages for those individuals to pick crops in the field. But, Texter, I would be curious, what's that wage? What's that hourly that you're looking at? And the reason that's important is because, again, how many times have we heard people scream, squeal, and yell about how their businesses are going to go under because of a dramatic increase in the cost of labor? And I would submit that you probably are going to have to pay well above minimum wage. In fact, I would say you probably have to pay higher than Denver's mandatory minimum wage to get the average worker in America into the field to pick the crops. That increases the cost on the farmer exponentially, which means the price you will pay at the store also goes up. If you are willing to absorb that cost, then stand strong in your claims and your beliefs. If not, we need to talk about it.
Slave labor.
The thing is, that to me is a disingenuous argument that I'm not going to play with.
Really?
But, yeah, it's completely and totally
invalid. You
invalid.
just made the argument that everything's going to get more expensive if we don't. If the way it is now keeps everything cheap.
No, I didn't. I didn't argue for the idea of slave labor. What I asked the individual texter is, what's the cost point in which the Americans would take the jobs, and what does that do to the product downstream? That's it. It's all I want to know.
And I'm arguing back the other direction. Why don't we just keep going the other direction? We can get free labor, cheap goods. Good. Isn't that good for America?
No. I mean, the idea is, and the thing is that it's one of those things where when you start advocating for slavery, I think it's gone to a point in the conversation where either you are so unmoored from reality or you're just trying to be a troll that I'm not going to entertain that.
No.
No. The thing is, I don't have to entertain and I'm not calling you, Jeff, but I'm talking about the argument that we need to go back to slavery, something that is massively stupid and fundamentally offensive. Hang on, Jeff.
Boundaries.
It is
put
massively
boundaries on
stupid.
your argument then.
No, Jeff. It
you
is
made
massively
the argument
stupid
that
and fundamentally inaccurate, and it is absolutely disgusting. So I am not going to debate whether or not we need to go back to slavery because it is morally and ethically reprehensible. It's a troll argument at the core.
Why?
And it's not, and I'm not.
Why?
I'm not.
Why
going,
is it
I'm
morally?
Go,
why is it morally and
Jeff,
reprehensible?
I am going to go and talk to the phones. If I have to explain to you why slavery is morally reprehensible, we've got bigger problems to discuss this morning. If you don't know,
10
Jeff,
seconds to explain
Jeff,
why.
If you don't know, if it is not fundamentally obvious to you, I can't help you on that one. I can't help you on that one.
No, I'm trying to get into your head because you're the one who made the argument.
Jeff, it's a
Jeff, you're the one who made the argument.
It is a
that
disingenuous troll argument. It is a tell you what.
Services, low-cost services in this country. And I'm just asking you
Jeff,
how far it should go.
Go ahead. You have the proof of the pudding. Tell me why slavery. Advocate for slavery right now. Why you think that America needs to go back to slavery.
I don't think we should.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I've been the one arguing the whole time that we shouldn't be importing people into this country, making them work really low wages. I think there's big impacts on our economy for that. I think it's unfair to Americans. And this argument that you see from progressives, not necessarily you, Bill, but you see it from progressives all the time, that if we don't have someone to clean our toilets, if we don't have somebody to pick our berries, then Americans won't do it, and costs are going to go up. And I don't see that as any different than the arguments that were made by the South when it came to slavery. How are we going to run our economy if we don't have slaves? Who's going to pick our cotton if we don't have slaves? We've had this moral argument in our country over and over again, and it's shocking to me that progressives walk right back into it with regards to illegal immigrants and go, we need these low wages, near cheap labor in order to run as a society. So I'm not saying you, Bill, but I am pressing the boundaries of the argument that we rely so much on cheap labor in this nation, we have to keep it going. So, all right, we got a phone call?
Yeah, Richard from Aurora.
Morning, Richard. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, what's on your mind?
Hey, good morning. I just have a comment as far as the wages. A little bit different than the slavery in that they didn't come here voluntarily, but these people are coming from a country or countries that are not as prosperous as we are. They're doing it voluntarily, even though the wages may be lower compared to what everybody else is making in this country. They are significantly higher than what their families are making in their native country. So I don't think it's a good argument to say we're treating them or it's slave labor. It's totally a comparison. I would love to go to another country right now, make more than I'm making now in this country, just be there temporarily, even though I'm making less than the average wage in that country, and then come back to America and still have more money. So it's a bad example, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Okay. I mean, you can call it slavery, you can call it indentured servitude, but do you think it's right to have a class of people in this nation making substandard wages because they live in the shadows?
See, that's the thing. Substandard is very relative, and it is voluntary. It's voluntary that they come here. No one's forcing them to come here. It's an incentive for them to come here. That's why they come here.
So, so as long as they want to come here, it's okay to have slavery?
You're the one saying it's slavery. I'm not.
Well, okay. I mean, you can make yourself feel better by saying that's not, but they live in the shadows.
They're getting paid.
They live in the shadows. They live indentured servitude.
Slaves didn't get paid.
They become dependent on their employment. You can say, well, they're not whipped, but I think in some cases they are. I think they're treated incredibly poorly. I think you have high rates of human trafficking that's taking place as a result of it. They're not willing to call the police. I think they live in the shadows. I think they live terrible lives. I've actually gone and talked to these people that live in these apartment complexes in Aurora, for instance. It's not.
I have been.
These are not great situations.
I've done a lot of missionary work in Florida, and I was speaking to the Latin immigrants. Mm-hmm. They are very happy to be here. They're happy to get these lower wages because they are much higher than where they came from. Indentured servitude is not voluntary. You keep saying slavery or indentured servitude. That's us going to another country, Mexico, for example, and forcing them to come here. It's just the opposite, Jeff.
So just to be clear, you're okay with people coming here illegally, living in the shadows, and getting substandard wages, but so long as it doesn't technically become slavery, it's okay?
No, I think we should have a program where they can come here legally for a time and then return.
But they didn't. They stayed.
We used to have. So I am not for anything illegal because I agree with you that they are a drain on the system. I have several employees that their spouses or family are illegal, and they are a drain on the system. They go to the ER whenever they have a cold. I go to the ER whenever I'm about on my deathbed. I pay about $48,000 every year for insurance. By the time I meet my monthly premiums and pay my yearly deductible, I am just under $50,000 every year. They don't pay a dime for that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm not proposing anything illegal, but there needs to be a system where they can come here temporarily during the season and then return. But I'm not opposed either to the lower wages. I don't
and then
think
Americans became dependent on it, and I don't think that's morally right. All right. I appreciate the call. We got to get to You
thanks,
Choose
Richard.
the News. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710, KNUS.
Bill and I kicking it off early this morning. The text messages, phone calls hot. We'll get back to them. Now it's time for Bill Thorpe's You Choose the News.
Yes, it's that time of the morning where we get to play America's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. I've spent mere moments this morning scouring the interwebs. I have come across some really weird stories about us humans and given them even more ridiculous headlines to play this fake radio news game show. Why would we waste valuable airtime? Because those in charge are not awake this morning, so it is a giant secret, so shh. And as always, Blake Olson joins us from the news department. Okay, gentlemen, here are your stories this morning. Headline number 1, man down. Headline number 2, the beatings will continue until morale improves. Headline number 3, sock it to ya. And headline number 4, a learning opportunity. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
The beatings will continue.
Yes, the beatings will continue until morale improves. That's what Target is telling all of their employees. Target has directed all those employees wearing the red shirts that you must smile at customers and make eye contact when they get into the store as soon as possible. The new initiative is called the 10-4 program. Under the program, workers must smile, make eye contact, and wave or greet a shopper who comes within 10 feet of them. Bonus points if you go and test that today. If they are closer, within 4 feet, the worker is now required to ask you if you need any help or how your day is going. Yes, you must be pleasant, happy, and interactive, or the beatings will continue. Yes. Forced enthusiasm at the job. I'm sure that'll work.
Just act like you work at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. New effort comes after Target announced a batch of corporate layoffs last month. First major layoff for the company in decades. Layoff came 2 months after the resignation of the CEO amid declining sales and profits for the company. So they want to make the workers happier by forcing them to be happier.
I like it.
I'm sure it'll work out
You
well.
got to do it. I don't see anything.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure. Mandatory happiness already.
I think they should have to ring cowbells for every person who walks in the store.
There we go.
Mandatory happiness.
There we go. All righty. Blake, man down, sock it to you, or learning opportunity?
Man down.
Yes, man down. Russia's first humanoid AI robot was unveiled recently, and it graced the stage. The robot was presented by the robotics firm and then promptly fell over. Yes, just minutes into its into it being unveiled, it fell over. Okay, Jeff, real quickly. Sock it to you or learning opportunity?
Learning opportunity.
Learning opportunity. Well, Kim Kardashian is mad at all the psychics that told her she was going to pass the bar exam. She put out a tickety talk saying, "I'm letting you guys know all those effing psychics we met with are obsessed with are effing full of S." You were believing. I can't help her. Okay, this is KNUS.